Dillon Gabriel. Yes, Dillon Gabriel. We have the film work in, and we watched the film with, Dillon Gabriel and what he went through last week against the Miami Dolphins. And I'm here to tell you, most of the times we make it about a Shadeur Sanders versus Dillon Gabriel, who's better. But we're going to break this down to the merit of what Dillon Gabriel's done so far. We're going to get to this, and we're going to talk about why I believe he's not making NFL-type throws, and I just don't see it. We'll come back and talk about it right here on the fastest 30 minutes in all the sports. It is the Ultimate Browns. Welcome to the fastest 30 minutes in sports. It's your boy G. Bush right here with the Ultimate Browns. Coming up in this episode, we will talk about the Patriots game and why the Patriots game is going to tell us a lot about the Cleveland Browns and where they're headed and what they're going to do at quarterback. We'll get to that later on in the show. Also, I think Shadeur Sanders' timetable, if you would have asked me at the beginning of the season what Shadeur Sanders' timetable looks like, I would have told you, man, you might see him in November or later on during the year, maybe for. I'm telling you why. That timetable has now been sped up in my mind. But first, before we get to any of that, let's talk about this. Dillon Gabriel watched the film yesterday, and he is struggling to make throws. I've watched this from a couple of different people right now. Chase Daniels, had this, and he had some concerns about Dillon Gabriel predetermining his throws. And he had that as early as the Pittsburgh game. I thought if you watch all of the games and all of the film, and I've watched all 22 multiple times, and I've watched a bunch of the breakdowns from what other people, NFL quarterbacks and guys who break down the film. And one thing that's glaring is that the first game, I thought Dillon Gabriel played his best game against the Vikings. I thought when he got to the Pittsburgh Steelers, it was bad, super bad. You go to this game, and I think the Cleveland Browns understood what the assignment was. They needed to get a win in the football game, and it was rainy, and they basically took the ball out of his hands. But there were occasions, and multiple occasions, 3 to 4, where I come off the top of my head, that you see Dillon Gabriel struggling for regular reads, regular throws. Jake Burns has a breakdown of some of the concerning things that he's seen, and these aren't Shadeur Sanders super fans. These aren't guys who are I would guess energetic and extra about what we see than I am. I put a lot of emotion into what I'm saying. I have convictions when I be saying stuff, but a lot of these guys are like, man, I'm going to evaluate it for what it is. And when you take a look at what he's doing on tape, some of this stuff is not NFL type stuff. This is alarming. You take a look at it. Some of the passes down the field that he's throwing, when he is throwing the football, is in coverage. It looks like he's predetermining where he's going to throw. It looks like there's no progression in him reading the defense. And it's just like there's games where there's multiple turnover-worthy throws. And this week, we'll talk about it a little bit later in the show. I don't think he gets away with that in New England this week. So one of the alarming things, there was 3 plays individually speaking. There was a play on the goal line in which they ran a wheel route, and Dillon Gabriel actually threw the ball into coverage where Jerry Jeudy was collisioned on a little whip route. And so Dillon Gabriel actually still has the football in his hands when he sees Jerry Jeudy get collisioned and kind of knocked backwards on the goal line. And the wheel route is wide open. And they get the exact play that they want to run. They get the pick route. They get the pick to work. In the back, Jerome Ford is running open, wide open, where it's an easy walk-in touchdown. If he doesn't see that, he can go back to the second progression, and over the middle in the sit-down route is Harold Fannin Jr. But inexplicably, Dillon Gabriel stares down Jerry Jeudy, still stares him down, looking at him right in his face. He's knocked off target, and he still throws it. To me, that tells me, he's not progressing and going through his progressions, period. It seems as if in this game, he's thinking to himself, okay, if the ball isn't here, I'm throwing it and checking it down quickly. and you're not going through your progressions to see who's really open and who's really not. I've heard so much about his processing ability and so much about how he's a supercomputer and all this other stuff. But when you break it down and you start getting to the nitty gritty and you watching a film, see, that's the thing about football film. You can say what you want. You can have an idea of what you like, but the film don't lie. I don't care if you like a player. I don't care if you got the best intentions or you think somebody has potential. The reality of it, that film work does not lie to you, people. And when you see those throws like that, it's like, whoa, that's not what we're looking for, dog. That's not NFL type, but processing. You go to the second play. The second play was even more egregious. You turn around and actually this play happened a little bit earlier in the game. They were running this the third and I think it's 12 or 13. And this ball was thrown to Jerry Jeudy. And the guy has underneath leverage and he throws his football to Jerry Jeudy and the corner just basically jumps it. He's in his back pocket. The ball goes right through his hands. That should have been another pick. And Jerry Jeudy inexplicably catches the ball and they get a first down. Now, on paper, you'd be like, well, G. Bush, you nitpicking. Why, it's a completion. You got away with it. It's not about getting away with it. I'm just giving you the critique on what it was. I don't understand. He couldn't have been reading that. The front side wasn't all that open. There was two receivers to the right-hand side of the field. There was another little sit down in the middle of the field. But the throw to Jerry Jeudy backside, you can't make that throw. You just can't do it. And he throws that ball 9 times out of 10, that's an interception and it's a pick, especially with that leverage. And it also tells me you're just throwing a football. You can't just drop back and throw the rock. That's not it. The last play, which is the most egregious one, and shout out to Jake Burns for pointing this out. There's a route on the goal line in which they're running a lot of crossing routes and mesh combinations, right? And in the middle of the field is bagged up. Middle field is really nothing else. The Dolphins did a good job of covering that up. But out of the backfield, Quinshon Judkins is open. Dillon Gabriel doesn't have any pressure. He scrambles. He loses the pocket, and the entire time he's going to his left, his strong hand. He sees Judkins in the flats, doesn't give it to him. Pass the ball some more, doesn't give it to him. He's still open. Pass the ball some more, doesn't give it to him. Judkins was literally open for 3 to 5 minutes, and he just wasn't doing nothing with the rock. He ended up scrambling for 4 yards or something silly, got knocked out of bounds, and you had an opportunity to throw that football to Quinshon Judkins in the flat, let him get an opportunity to run, and that's either at minimum a 10 to 12-yard run or a touchdown if he makes somebody miss, which I'll take Judkins over some of those dudes anytime of the week, twice on Sunday. So when you look at these throws, and I think one of the things that we're trying to do, and this isn't an argument. It's getting to the point where there are individuals who have gotten their mind that either Shadeur Sanders isn't good or he isn't ready or he isn't this and he isn't that. And this ain't no conversation about whether he is ready or not ready, because at the end of the day, that's not what the critique is. You got to critique Dillon Gabriel based on what Dillon Gabriel is doing on the field. It's so often we are sitting back and critiquing what Shadeur Sanders is doing, and you're not even critiquing and looking what's going on the field. The starter is playing. This is why I always tell people, no, let him play. Put him right out there and let him play. Let him play his way into a position or out of the position. But one thing that we can't do is we can't sit here and because you feel a certain way about Shadeur Sanders, or you've been told so many times by the people who writes this stuff that you got in your mind that you won't even pay attention to your eyes. You won't even pay attention to what the guy on the field is doing because you are so hell-bent on proving that the guy that's behind him ain't no good. You're so hell-bent on trying to figure out where he's ready and why he ain't ready, and is he wearing a backwards hat, and what is he doing, and is he like the narrative about him still continuing to be better or not be ready is ridiculous. At the end of the day, you got to think about something like this, folks. I can sit here and critique Dillon Gabriel and his play, without the calculus of whether Shadeur Sanders is behind him ready to go. And so often we keep seeing people that is trying to move. I just want to be fair. I'm all for being fair, but I'm all for critiquing too. I just don't see it. I don't see, like right now we're at a point where Dillon Gabriel is playing and ain't nobody said that. I haven't seen no glimpses, not in one game, of an NFL starter. Go ask the guys that is breaking it down. I ain't seen one guy, not one, sit here and tell me that what they've seen on tape is NFL starter material. I see a serviceable backup. I see a guy that can help you and not hurt you in certain instances, but under no circumstances do I believe that you could put a playbook on him and make sure that he is going to be the guy out here that is the reason you win games. As a matter of fact, I think that the reason why they're so conservative and he's conservative is because I'm telling you the exact thing that I've always said. You don't win starting quarterback jobs. Backup jobs is different. Sure, we're going to tell you keep the ball out of harm's way, but backup, the starting role jobs, those jobs are not won, and I've been consistent. It's from 10 to 25 yards is where in the air is where you win those jobs. And if you don't have an opportunity or you don't have the ability to take those shot plays, to look downfield, to make chances, you'll never make it because that won't keep your job alone. Nobody has ever said, oh my goodness, he dinked and dunked his way down the field, kept the ball turnover. He's a franchise quarterback. That ain't the way it works. So let's start critiquing what Dillon Gabriel is doing and stop worried about what Shadeur Sanders is doing behind him. That's my challenge for the couple of weeks, right? As long as Dillon Gabriel is in the role and in that position, let's stop every time we say Dillon Gabriel's name, it goes to the burden of proof is not on Shadeur Sanders. The burden of proof is on Dillon Gabriel and his play and what he needs to do to stay the starter, not by saying Shadeur Sanders ain't ready. It's based on whether Dillon Gabriel is playing well. You can do that. And I continue to do that, and we will do that because the film don't lie. It's another opportunity this week against the Patriots to come up and see what he can do, and I'm going to critique that because I'm going to tell you what, coming up here in a little bit later, I'm going to tell you why Shadeur timetable is quickly approaching, sooner than a lot of people thought. We'll come back and talk about it. You're listening to G. Bush right here on the Ultimate Browns. Every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Which players are showing up in the biggest moments, and how could tracking their trends help you build your next big bet? What would it look like to combine live prop bets mid-game based on how action unfolds? How could a $200 bonus in bonus bets add to the excitement if your first $5 bet hits? New to FanDuel? It's a perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com/UCSS and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back to the fastest 30 minutes in sports. It's your boy G. Bush right here with the Ultimate Browns. Make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and keep in contact with all of our contact. Listen, we talked about it a little bit earlier, compared Dillon Gabriel and Shadeur Sanders. And when you look at the timetable for this thing, this game against the Patriots is pivotal. Because when you take a look and watch what the Browns are coming up against, is a team that is coached by Mike Vrabel, a team that is going to come out here defensively and be very solid, not going to hurt themselves, a team that is going to stop the run. They have not allowed over a 50-yard rusher all year, and a team that is playing very good football, 3 wins in a row on the road with a quarterback that is playing lights out at this point. When you take a look at the timetable for Shadeur Sanders, and this is why I love the fact that he has been in that role for a couple of weeks now. He's been in the backup role last week. So that gives him the opportunity to understand what the game plan is and to look at the game plan and figure out what he needs to do, right? Understanding what it feels like to call those plays in the huddle, have the headsets on, understand the play call, get an opportunity to be in those meetings and putting the game plan in for the week, getting opportunity to learn and understand certain things, right? And I think a lot of people keep trying to make it seem like, well, if he's not getting these first team reps, that means that he's going to be buried on the bench. That's not what it is. Everybody is reading this wrong. I feel like everybody reading it wrong. They understand. Let me tell you this. They understand what Shadeur Sanders is. The problem is you falling into this narrative that he's not ready to play or he's somehow so far behind. If he's far behind what Dillon Gabriel is doing, we in trouble. The fact that this is all part of it. You build up Dillon Gabriel to a point where he's Superman. You started early. You keep building and build. He's a supercomputer. He reads through everything, bro. And then when you see it, you got to walk that back because it ain't nothing special. Am I saying that Shadeur Sanders is going to come out here and be 15 to 25,000 times better than Dillon Gabriel? No. I'm telling you that the narrative and myth that somehow he's 3,000 light years behind is crazy work. Now, the timetable is quickly ticking. You know why? Because no matter what you're going to say, Shadeur Sanders hasn't seen the field. He ain't played. And every game that the book is out, the film is out, and you see it, you get an opportunity to make a further assessment on Dillon Gabriel. At the beginning of the season, it was, we're going to chill out and let Shadeur get the last 3 games. Well, if you look at this schedule, and he comes out here against the New England Patriots, and he does not look well, it looks bad, and it looks like he's regressing, I'm here to tell you, he is definitely in play after the bye week. You got a whole 2 weeks to ramp him up, get him ready, and get ready for a game against the Jets on the road. Huh? That's what they did with Dillon Gabriel. They ramped him up, got him ready. His first start was where? In London. They see it didn't work out that bad. You see that Dillon Gabriel went out there and was respectable in London. It wasn't like they were going to a combat zone. So the Cleveland Browns had some data and say, well, listen, Shadeur's been sitting behind him for a couple of weeks now. Understands the backup role. He's actually sitting here. He's been in a meeting for the game plan. And we got 2 whole weeks to get him ready and prepared to go to play a Jets team. This week is the key. This week is trying to understand what exactly do the Cleveland Browns do. We'll talk about why the Patriots game is going to tell us a lot about the Browns, Coach Stefanski, and the quarterback situation. But the timetable for playing Shadeur Sanders was sped up when they traded Joe Flacco. It's crazy because that is why when they removed Joe Flacco from the building, they told you what you needed to know. The timetable was sped up. Because if they didn't think that Shadeur Sanders was ready to go, they would have just went ahead and elevated Bailey Zappi, wouldn't they? They would have kept Joe Flacco, wouldn't they? But they told you the timetable was coming. The timetable is coming, especially when, okay, now it looks like there's a couple quarterbacks emerging. Mendoza, Simpson, Some of those names. I just talked to Sean King on my podcast about some of the names that he sees guys that are out here balling right now. So if you want a quarterback and you want to figure it out, you got to give Shadeur Sanders an opportunity to either prove himself worthy of that position, and so you don't draft another quarterback, but you got to give him the runway to set it up. That's why I've been sitting. You say, G. Bush, I don't know. You be too patient for me. I don't like how you be patient like that. I said, nah, because what you're never going to accuse me of is sitting here telling you just want to see Shadeur play. You're just in the cult. No, you just actually, when you have a rebuttal, here's the way you argue. You tell me factually, without being vague, where you disagree with me at, and then we could go back and forth and have a conversation based on the facts. Because I asked you, I don't need to be in a cult to watch the film work and say, you missed that open throw. I don't need to be in a cult to sit here and be like, that film was looking nasty work. You've regressed the last 2 games. And I could also point back to it that on UCSS, I've said all along, nope, I want to see a progression. I'm not pulling you after 1 game. I'm not pulling you after 2 games. Heck, I didn't even say I'm pulling you after 3 games. You're going to start right against the New England Patriots too. And we're going to see what you got, big dog. I want to see your progression. I want to see how you handle the rush. I want to see how your processing, the Intel Pentium processor, is it sped up? Are we now seeing the game differently? You got your runway. Here you go. But let me tell you this. If it don't look good and it look bad, that timetable is ticking. Tick, 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 tick. And you can say, I didn't see Shadeur Sanders standing by anybody. I saw Shadeur Sanders with a backwards hat. Somebody told me, somebody over a mythical person told me this or there, and that person, stop it. You're starting to sound like you just don't want anybody but Shadeur. And I don't even sound like anybody but Dillon Gabriel, do I? Everybody wants to speed it up. Nah, I ain't speeding it up. His play speeding it up. That's the way it works. You stand on your own merits. I don't want to put Shadeur Sanders in the game because of Shadeur. He's going in the game because Dillon Gabriel ain't getting it done. And by the way, I agree with Jonathan Peterlin. This narrative that somehow they've done a great job of developing. Listen, Sean King was on the other day. The only thing Shadeur Sanders is doing at this moment is being involved in the game plan. During the season, there ain't no development. He ain't even really got no reps. And Sean King pointed this out. If they was truly into developing him at the highest level and giving him that thought process, then they would have been giving him reps during the preseason camp, which he didn't get any. He said that is the time when you go to develop. During the season, it's 12 team reps. 3 of them might be handoffs. That ain't getting you ready. But the thing about competition and the thing about sports is this. You become a legend. You become a number 1 quarterback. You take jobs and you become a name in this league when you get in the game and you deliver. Reps be damned. All the rest of the stuff be damned. Guess what? When I get my chance, I'm gonna show out. And that's what people is determined on. Not whether or not they've been given all the leash in the world. When he get in that game, he's been patient a while, but when he get there, he better deliver. And I think he will. When we come back, we'll talk about why this Patriot game is so big and what it will tell me about the Cleveland Browns. You're listening to the fastest 30 minutes in all sports. It's G. Bush right here with the Ultimate Browns. Make sure you're checking out the Ultimate Browns right here every single week, right here on the UCSS network. And make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for the latest of Cleveland Browns content. Also, make sure 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. we kick it right over here on the Barbershop. This week, we got another fire show planned for you. It's simulcast right on the Barbershop. Make sure you subscribe to the Barbershop. It's simulcast right here on UCSS network. Make sure you subscribe to that, so you always know when G. Bush is pulling up. You never know where I'm going to show up. You know what I always say. But it will be right here on UCSS. Welcome back to the fastest 30 minutes in all the sports. It's your boy G. Bush right back here with the Ultimate Browns. Patriots game is coming up this week, and let me tell you something about this game. Browns come off a big win. Defense scored. Defense looked dominant. Quinshon Judkins, 3 touchdowns. But let me tell you this, people. Let's get to this. That was the Dolphins. And you're going to take every win that you can get. But this Patriots game is going to dictate and determine a lot of things for the Cleveland Browns. Because going into this game, they have Drake May. They have, Mike Vrabel. They got a nice, solid team. Right now, they're playing like one of the best teams in the league. Do I think that they're a Super Bowl contender? No, but I don't even like to break things down in Super Bowl. What is a Super Bowl contender? I mean, I guess you know it when you see it. All I could do is judge week to week and what they're doing in this game. And if I'm looking at this situation for the New England Patriots on the road, this could get ugly. This could get ugly. It's one or two ways I want to look at it. If the Browns come in there and compete and take exactly what they did against the Miami Dolphins and extrapolate that and bring that same type energy to the game against the Patriots, I think that you're looking at a situation where I'll give Kevin Stefanski some credit. Now, do I still think he's the nicest coach in the world in this playbook? No. What I'm saying is I'll give him credit for building some momentum and carrying this from week to week. But you know how I always tell you, in this league, it's a week-to-week league. It ain't we did this last week. We got 3 turnovers last week. Can we get 3 turnovers this week? That ain't how this thing works. It's a week-to-week league, and the Patriots it give you another challenge in terms of what they do well and against what you do. When you take a look at the way they shut down the running game, this is a game I'm going to see, because there's a myth that, just run the football. As long as you run, yes, you do have to be balanced. You have to run the football. No, you can't have Dillon Gabriel throw the ball 50, 60 times. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when your best part of your game is that run game, and they know how to stop the run against backs that have come into wherever they played the Patriots, they've been able to hold those guys in check. If that's your best part of your game, and trust me, the best part of the game is Quinshon Judkins making people miss. O-line play is not there. Don't get it twisted. Just because you run for some yards and Judkins is making guys miss does not mean that somehow that is what we're looking for. And somehow the offensive line is looking dominant. But if they can stop the run, it goes back to the quarterback. What are you going to do to be able to keep people off the line of scrimmage? Sometimes you have to throw the ball in order to run the ball. Let me bring that back. Sometimes you got to throw the ball in order to open up lanes to run the football. Because running the ball is a numbers game. I could put enough people in the box to stop all that. I could put a lot of people up there to stop exactly what we're talking about. But when you pass the ball and it's intermediate passing and it's shots, see, it don't matter. Sometimes you say, you got to complete. Yes, you want to complete passes downfield, but you got to take the shots, because the shots put stuff on tape. The shots make corners think. The shots keep safeties from creeping in the box. The shots keep coordinators from playing man coverage all over the field, making it difficult for your receivers to get open. Because they say, well, at least he's going to try to throw that. At least it's in his mind he's going to be aggressive. At least this is something that we have to be worried about. And right now, Dillon Gabriel has thrown 4 passes. 4. Over 25 yards. 4. Now, you take a look at the rest of the league and the way the game is played. If you can't spread the field and either A, you're scared to throw the ball downfield, B, you're not seeing and processing to see people down the field, or the worst of all is if Kevin Stefanski is hammering your head that we want you to keep control of the football and we don't want turnovers, all 3 of those are a disaster waiting to happen in terms of whether or not you're going to be successful as an offensive team. And this game is going to tell me a lot, because now you're in the 4th game with Dillon Gabriel. You've had multiple weeks. He's been in the games and leading back into the Baltimore Ravens. So he was the backup quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. He got in those football games when Joe Flacco struggled. He got in games at the end of the game 2 times with Joe Flacco. He's been the backup for a long period of time, basically since the beginning of the season. So we've had 8 games of him being in the meetings, being with the coaching staff, understanding what the game plan is, learning Kevin Stefanski's voice, knowing what the audibles are and the checks. He's been doing that since the first week of the season. If we get to this week and it still ain't on, we go back to subject number 2. That timetable for Shadeur Sanders is quickly approaching. Quickly approaching. And the bye week has always been circled. Trust me. Kevin Stefanski got a certain way he wants to do it. But let me tell you what. There's also 2 other people in this equation, Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam. If they don't see it by then, it's going to be a lot of conversations after that football game, especially if it don't look good, to say, yeah, we about to, we 2-6. We 2-6. We might go ahead and pull the trigger on that. 2-6. It looked bad. And I'm telling you, this is the game you should be watching. Not only for the Cleveland Browns and what they plan on doing, but for Dillon Gabriel and whether or not he's a long-term viable answer as a quarterback and when the time to make a move. He's going to tell us that Sunday. Not Shadeur Sanders, not Kevin Stefanski. Dillon Gabriel is going to tell us what this play if this experiment goes on for a few more weeks. We shall see. With that being said, you never know where G. Bush might show up, radio, television, or internet. But if you want the fresh take on sports and a fresh cut, I always keep the Clippers with me. Have a great rest of your evening. And as always, you know how I'll say, even if I get mad at them, go Browns.